Okay, this is a hopefully pretty quick intro video to the 12 acres at Chalk Bluff. Really special tracts. I mean, all the tracts are special, but this one's kind of special, and we'll see why in a moment. But first, let's kind of take a quick look at the area. So we're in Shannon County. The property's outlined in red here, 12 acres. Happens to be tract 39 at Chalk Bluff. To the west, just a few hundred feet, I'm sorry, to the east, a few hundred feet to the east, we have the Rocky Creek Conservation Area. This particular section of the conservation area is about 3,000 acres. So that gives you a huge amount of land that's open for hunting and trail riding and recreation. Literally just steps away from the property, just a couple hundred feet to the east. If we go to the west, less than about a mile, you've got the Jacks Fork River. You've got Chalk Bluff right here overlooking the Jacks Fork River, which is gorgeous. And this purple area is the Ozark National Scenic Riverways, which is a scenic easement for the use of the American people, I guess, to enjoy the Jacks Fork River, to keep it natural. It's pretty awesome. It encompasses the Jacks Fork and I believe the current river. And if we zoom out a little bit, it'll show that better. But it's basically both sides of the river going back quite a ways. So the purple land is open for access to the river and whatnot. Chalk Bluff is beautiful, but since the area is very natural, there's no fancy guardrail that, I mean, you can walk right to the edge. So I don't get within 20 or 30 feet of it because that's not my bag. But I do love the view. I love the view from 30 feet back, but it's even better close up. Um, okay, so before we zoom out, I want to get in on this property and show you why it's kind of one of the very special tracks and one of the coolest tracks we've had in a while, actually. And to do that, we'll start with the topo map. So this topo map, this shows the roads in the area, it shows the conservation land, etc., etc. So this particular 12 acres, and if you see this dotted line, follow this dotted line on the topo map, it's got a long private trail that goes back into it, an existing trail. And this black dot here on these topo maps indicates that there was at one time a structure on the property. So a lot of these topos were done by either the USDA or USGA, I'm not sure, like in the 40s and 50s. Some are more recent, but pretty much always the little black dots, when you see them, that means that there was a building there. Now, we have no idea if it was a little shack or if it was a 4-story rock mansion. We just don't know, but the black dot does indicate that there was a structure. So that means you've got a little bit of history here, and it, to me, makes it pretty interesting if you want to go explore it. Now, we have not explored it yet. I would love to, but we just don't have the time to check everything out that's super cool, although this would have been a good one to do that on. If we look at the aerial, this aerial is actually a couple years old. This is a Google aerial, and they update them every so often, but this one is a couple years old. It was taken pretty much right after this property was logged. So if you look at the drone videos, that shows it more precisely, and there's been quite a bit of growth already since then. Things are looking good. In fact, if you look at the drone video, you'll see this area off to the west, which here has thick timber. That looks really rough in the drone video because that was recently logged. And that's, of course, not shown on this map. So this was logged heavily. This particular tract was not, or not in my opinion. I think it looks really good, especially a couple years after the logging. But if you look here, you can see where the trail kind of goes in. Really, in the drone video, I think we went in about this far, and that was it. There's a big clearing. This shows that the trail continues on back to another clearing. And actually, if we switch to the topo, it shows the black dot about here. So let's look at that as we switch back over to the Google map. Okay, so roughly here, that's saying that that's where at one time there was a structure. So I don't know, go check it out, bring your metal detector. I mean, there could be some cool stuff around there. So that's what makes this kind of a really special tract, I think. And in addition to that, even without the history and the structure, you have a long private trail. You've got a nice open site that just really needs to be brush hogged, and you'll be good to go. So you can come in with your truck, pull right in, get several hundred feet off the road, and just be 100% private, set up your cabin or whatnot. Everything is subject to the 6 basic restrictions as shown on our website, but they're pretty darn reasonable, we think. So let's zoom out here. If you happen to get bored on your property, which you're not likely to do because uh, 12 acres is pretty large, especially a wooded 12 acres. And I forgot to mention this whole southwest side actually borders a little gravel creek bed. So the east, probably 2/3 of this property are more or less level, which is very unusual in the Ozarks. If you look at this map, and this is pretty typical Ozark land, there is a lot of ups and downs, and not that many large level areas. This happens to have a very large level area, and then the west or the southwest side slopes down to that creek bed, that gravel creek bed, and that's going to be very likely a seasonal creek, not a year-round creek. We have not walked down to it to check it out, and there may be pools of water year-round. I really don't know. But I mean, you're almost guaranteed to find some cool stuff there. We've found interesting rock formations and whatnot in every single creek bed we've explored here in the Ozarks. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so now we can zoom out a little bit, and we'll go back to, I don't know, we'll go to the street map, I think, and we'll show the drive to the area. Okay, so we'll back out, Okay, this isn't too bad. Okay, so if you look toward the upper right section of the map, this is the town of Eminence. Popular tourist town, has the Jacks Fork River. I guess it's known as the horse trail ride capital of America, so a lot of trail riding going on there. But definitely a lot of floating and fishing in the Jacks Fork River. To get to the property from Eminence, you would go west on Highway 106 for 3 or 4 miles. You would go south on Highway E for a mile, and then right here you'll go west onto County Road 412, and that's a gravel road. You've got about 6 miles of gravel to get to this property, so you'll take 412 down here to the southwest, basically. You'll enter the Rocky Creek Conservation Area, where the road actually becomes a forest road, technically, and it gets a little more narrow. Still a good road, but you've got to go fairly slowly, and you'll follow that to Chalk Bluff. As soon as you get into the Chalk Bluff area, start looking for the tract signs, and you're looking for tract 39 on the left. You definitely want to print all the maps because there are a lot of little roads in this conservation area that aren't even shown on this map. So ultimately, the best thing is to get the MapRight app. If you have a smartphone, it's a free app, either Apple or Android, I believe. In fact, I know that. And then we will have MapRight send you the link to this map, so you'll get an email directly from MapRight. You need to open it on your phone, and then it'll say, click here to open the map. And when you do that, it'll say, do you want to open it in the app? And you'll say yes. And then this particular map will pop up, which is great. But the cool thing is there'll be a little blue dot or red dot to indicate exactly where you are. So you can be going down these roads and come to a crossroads and say, oh, I've got to head left. And then you'll be able to verify that you're still headed the right way as you watch the little dot. And then once you get to the property, I mean, you can walk the entire boundaries, and it's fairly precise, and you'll know exactly where you are and what's going on your own property there. So super cool app if you can get it. If you can't, I mean, no big deal. We've been doing this for 15 years without the MapRight app, very happily. But the last year having the app has really been great. It absolutely has. Okay, so we'll zoom out a little more here. So the property, the little red dot here, the purple areas are the National Scenic Riverways that we discussed. The blue areas are also public land. Those are state forest and conservation land. And then the green areas are the Mark Twain National Forest. So the Ozarks, the Missouri Ozarks, are known for big chunks of Mark Twain National Forest, and you can see that here. You're within a few miles of, tens of thousands of acres of public land. So you just won't get bored out here if you're into the outdoors. Looking to the left side, this is Springfield, Missouri, biggest city in southern Missouri. It's where our office is. If we were headed to the property today, we would take Highway 60 to the east for about an hour and a half, past the little town of Mountain View, which is the closest Walmart. The little town of Birch Tree is right about here. And then once you pass Birch Tree, you go north on Highway E for about 10 or 12 miles. And then you'll go west on that county road, which is County Road 412, and follow that on down to the property. So head on over to our website at InstantAcres.com to see if this tract is still available. It will be in the 10 plus acres category. It's one of the bigger ones. If it's available, that's where you'll see it. If it's not on the site, then it does mean it's sold already, but we try to get new stuff all the time. It gets harder and harder here in the Ozarks, but we're doing the best we can for you. But feel free to give us a call in the office or shoot us an email at sales@instantacres.com. And while you're waiting to hear back from us, go browse our website, www.instantacres.com. We would love to hear from you and ultimately to work with you.